Hello again and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. But is it even a Mordian Glory video today? Because I have been joined by a group of reprobates from the internet, from the Heresy community. And we are going to be having a bit of a chinwag about Heresy, Horus Heresy, not only 3.0, but also I would say the future of Heresy in general, both from the community and from Games Workshop. And with me, I have got Kiefer, Maka, and Northern Exile. All of these guys are fellow YouTubers. They are people that cover the hobby, they cover the tabletop. I'll make sure there's a link to their channels down in the description below. Please, of course, go check them out and go and like and subscribe and all of that good stuff. But that's I think that's enough of an intro. We're gonna keep it short and sharp today because we want to get right into the salty beef. And this is where I ask a question and everyone speaks at the same time, or nobody speaks, which will be quite funny. But gentlemen, I'm just going to throw a question down onto the floor. So Heresy 3.0.
I've loved it because I've got to watch Maka's complete and utter just descent into madness, the descent into the eighth circle of hell, and yeah, it's been good. It's been good. I mean, I would rather have Horus Heresy 3.0 be nice, be good, but at least I have this. You know,
well, it's certainly more interesting than I thought it would be.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, being quite cynical, I've also liked Heresy 3.0. There's been so much to talk about and cover as a YouTuber. If it's I'd rather it was good, but I'll settle for covering the fallout of it. So yeah, for those that don't know, Heresy 3.0 has, I mean, how could you not know unless you're a hermit that's been living in the hills? Heresy 3.0 was announced, and it's no exaggeration, it's a shit show. It's a shit show. I mean, why don't we just go around and just say what do you think is the biggest issue facing the edition right now? A lot of people are saying it's war gear, some people are saying it's rules, but just jump in. What do we think is the biggest? What is your biggest issue with Heresy 3.0 at the moment?
I kind of want to keep Maka as the main event because it's going to be glorious. So
of course,
just on what I collect, I do myself in my own hobby, being selfish. It is war gear, like as you said, like it is. For instance, like Terminators with Power Fist is my favorite thing. Can't do it, even though it's in the box. I can't do it.
Computers now.
These are rules. Yeah, these are rules that have just been not play tested, not looked at. I honestly think they've been written and not looked at because you can't have something in your box set, an option that isn't in the rules. And there's several of these. It's just absolutely beyond the pale. I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, let's bring Maka in here for a moment because I've been watching Maka's videos as well. I've been watching Maka for years, and I've been in preparation.
I'm so sorry.
no, man. You were actually one of my first introductions to Heresy, and I was like, who is this salty boy? I like it. Right, subscribe. So Maka, give us I would say that you've definitely probably done the most coverage on this at the moment. But what is your, or probably the most analysis? I've just sort of been looking at bits as it's been coming across my desk, as it were. But what is your, wax lyrical, riff away, what is your sort of number one or top issues with Heresy 3.0 at the moment?
Just a disclaimer before I start. I actually haven't been talking about it that much in private conversations. Like Kiefer and North, we can talk to each other at any time. I've not really spent a lot of time talking about 3.0. And I think I've only made about half a dozen videos on the entire subject. And that's just because of my main criticism, which is communication.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that's affected the system. Every time something occurs, because it's Games Workshop and it's like they don't want to acknowledge that the community can even be heard by them. So they won't actually come out and respond directly to things. You know, if you have a major crisis or something, like even BP, you know, when they spilt all that oil and, you know, the Horizon
we're sorry.
Oil thing, we're sorry, you know, they at least come out and give you that. Games Workshop won't even come out and just tell you directly what's happening. Instead, they come out with all this just weird backwards speak and gaslighting, where you're like, okay, I know what you're writing to me, but what I'm seeing with my own eyes, it conflicts.
Yeah.
Like, just give it to me straight.
It feels like they're struggling to keep the lies all. You know, when someone like tells so many lies, they can't keep them all in line. They start overlapping and contradicting each other. That's the sense I'm getting.
Yeah, and you know, then what that happens is you start picking through it, right? Because you go, something's fishy here, and where you never would have looked deeper, you start looking deeper, and then you start seeing more and more things that make you raise your eyebrow. Some people can switch that off. I can't.
Yeah.
So I've got no trust, no faith.
Yeah, I think it is amazing how, because it's important to, I think, explain, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's kind of interesting because over the last 18 months you've had SDS, which is aka Forge World, which is the subsidiary of main GW, who has just been stacking up wins left, right, and centre for 18 months, and those people were saying like, oh, I prefer SDS over main GW now, and that's because of the incredible job they've done with things like Warhammer: The Old World, and then you look at a lot of the love that Heresy has had from a model point of view over the last 18 months, with how much they've been bringing from resin to plastic, all of the Solar Auxilia stuff. It's been phenomenal. And then in the space of 1 week, they have managed, and truly I would say, they've managed this as a complete own goal. They've done it to themselves. They've squandered all of that to the point where now people, it's the taint has spread, and then people are not trusting them around Old World now. I mean, why would you convert a unit in one of these arcane journals, which they don't currently make models for? Why would you convert that? Because they're just going to take that away. But let's bring Kiefer in here because I know I can tell he's got something to say. I can feel it. So Kiefer, give us some perspective from your side.
Well, like similar to how North laid out, I definitely do think this is Macca's beast. But look, I am a Heresy enjoyer. Like, while I'm not actively engaged in my hobby efforts in building out a Heresy army, Heresy is for a while, right? I think a lot of just 40k players have perceived it this way as well. It's sort of been this last bastion of where hobby enthusiasm or hobby efforts would be rewarded by the game system, right? I think you can pretty well track that GW has essentially shifted all of their game systems to a rules design paradigm that doesn't really encourage the creative elements of the hobby. Well, the most creative elements. Yeah, you can paint them however you want, but in terms of kit bashing, converting, building custom units, and even just putting war gear on units that don't come with those options in the kit, right? That's all been stripped away from 40k, from Kill Team. AOS was just built that way from the jump, more or less. So yeah, that's sort of my position on the Horus Heresy. So seeing that last like vestige of hobby creativity kind of be positioned in such a way where they tried, right? Like GW tried to pull the rug out from under Heresy players, it seems. And
reporting for duty, sir.
Honestly, I'm quite happy there was a vocal backlash. They didn't just roll over and take it. Does that answer your question? That's sort of my broad.
Of course, there's no right or wrong answer.
It's just the Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
As a game system, yeah.
Yeah. So, bringing in I think a question here that I think is for Macca, because as we're saying, he's probably the number one Heresy boy here. Macca, what do you think of GW's opinion that you, as a Heresy player, your intelligence has completely gone through the floor? And you're a drooling idiot, and that has that mental decline has happened over the last 15 years because you no longer apparently have the mental capacity to figure out that if there's not a part in the box that you have to maybe go and get it from somewhere else.
Well, I think it's just a cover story.
Yes.
maybe maliciously, maybe not. But obviously, when you let's take Legion Heavy Support Squads, Legion Tactical Support Squads. When you want to use despoilers, if you want to upgrade special weapons onto any of your units, they're all separate kits. Same with things like Dreadnoughts. All the different arm options and weapon options for the Derrideos, for the Leviathans, for the Contemptors, they're all in different kits. So the idea that if it's, that it needs to all be in the one box to assemble it, I think is absurd just on face value. And that's just half a dozen off the top of my head, let alone other areas I could probably look at for upgrade options, right?
Yeah.
So obviously there's that little box right there of issues, but then you've got the issue of there are units like the jet bikes where you go, it's a plastic unit, just like Assault Marines, just like the Mark 3s, the Mark 6s, the Mark 2s now. It's easily converted. It's the same size shoulder pads, helmets, arms as all the other kits. It can easily be glued on and popped in place, and yet for some reason all those upgrades are gone from that particular unit. You couldn't somehow put a helmet from a command squad and a power weapon for the command squad onto one of those jet bikes and call it a Centurion.
Yeah.
It just seems absurd on the surface. And then I have people in the comments and they say things like, oh, well, little Timmy hasn't played before. When he comes into this shop, he's going to be questioning, and you go, well, hang on a minute. So little Timmy's picked up the Horus Heresy book. He's looked at all the miniatures there are. He's seen the ones on the front cover, skipped all that, cuts through to page 47 and goes, yes, Centurion, jet bike, Centurion, 100%, that's the way I'm going. White Scars, GTFO, Renegade for life. And the kid does all that. When I was a kid, I understood the idea of conversions. I got into the hobby in 94. I didn't need Christmas 94.
His thing, sorry to cut in, but when I was a kid, I did conversions because I was a kid. Like, have you ever given a kid just a bucket of Lego and just watch them go? They're not following any instructions. They're just building mad shit. Kids, that's what people do. And basically what Games Workshop is saying, no, that's not what people do. And even if we don't, there is going to be a case of this is not just looking through the lens of obviously being like a young kid, but let's just take a moment here. If we're presuming that they are trying to get new players and they are trying to attract, maybe a younger audience rather than the old crusty grognards, I'm sorry, but how is little Timmy going to stay awake for his bedtime story of the 67-step charge phase?
He's really looking forward to gambits, you see.
Yeah. Please, Dad, read me the story about gambits again.
Well, yeah, it's what every word, every rule seems to be written like, right? I joke about, not to get political, it's like the Kamala Harris ramble speech. Like these gypsy curses that are just getting thrown out there. Like, here we are going we are coming, but together we are doing. What's the rule? Get to the rule. It's in there somewhere,
I was he was that horse guy. He was a bad dude. It's
I got hairy legs. No,
the horse got hairy legs. Anyway, moving swiftly on, politics aside. But
well, we can all laugh at any political
spirit animal, right? I don't know.
but no, even as a kid, we had to convert with white metal.
Yeah,
plastic was a luxury. A lot of kits were white metal when I was a kid, and it was just like, oh well, you just do that. All the heavy weapons kits were white metal. All the special weapons were white metal. The only things that were plastic was like in a tactical squad itself, and then like the one missile launcher and the one flamer that came in the tactical squad box set. If we as kids in the 90s, without the internet, without any of the tutorial videos, but just with a White Dwarf magazine and a can-do attitude to work it out, I'm sure that 40-year-old Heresy players with a stable income stream can probably figure out how to craft a Centurion using bits they literally make in plastic. So it rings very hollow to me that there's an excuse that somehow players, will be intimidated or feel like they're being forced to have to convert if they can't just play with something straight out of the box. And at the same time, as well as selling boxes of stuff with weapons in those very boxes that you can't use, which is the extra, the meme where like the guy just looks looks at the camera and just has the question marks around his head. It's like that. Like, huh? What?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And even I know we've probably taken it to a bit of an extreme, saying little Timmy and all that kind of stuff. But let's assume that this younger audience, this newer audience, they want even if we say they're like teenagers or something. I mean, I was talking about this on stream last night, but like teenagers aren't stupid. Like and kids aren't, a lot of kids who are getting to the stage where they're playing games that are more complex. I mean, a lot of people, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate for even mentioning this game. It's this video game in this video. But has anyone actually tried to play Fortnite? Now, for my sins, I have actually played a bit of Fortnite. My missus got into it for a bit, and I had some prejudices, but I played it, and it was fun. Okay, but it's actually really hard. I had no idea what was going on. Like, you have to you are getting absolutely trashed by some 16-year-old kid who's got the reflexes of a fighter pilot. Who maybe my reflexes have gone down a little bit. But the point is, you have to know where this weapon's in this bit of the map here. This weapon spawns here more often. If I get this, I want to. There's actually quite a lot of moving parts and things you have to interact with that me as a casual player just diving into it for a couple of weeks because it was a bit of fun, I didn't worry about. I didn't worry about as the new person. I just interacted with the game on a simple level. But the people that know life this thing, they knew all of the little hidden tricks and tips and everything. And you can take that and apply it to something like Horus Heresy. Like, I've recently got into Horus Heresy. I haven't been going around there converting lots of little bits on my death guard. I mean, that's just because I'm starting my journey new. Inevitably, down the line, once I've got into the game a bit more and it was starting to become a proper like second game, and when I say eventually, we're not talking like years, we're talking like I guess like weeks and months, I would then be like, okay, it's time to I've got my basic Death Guard army here, it's time to treat myself to some crazy resin thing, or treat myself to some, let's convert this mad thing up. And so the point I'm trying to make here is that a game, why are we having this distinction between new players and old players? Like, why is that distinction having to be so rigidly like enforced in the products and in the game that we're playing? Like, just have the basic products and then have the scope on the back end, because the basic products are going to appeal to people that are just getting into it as a side game, and then the people that go, this is now my new main game, they have got the scope at the back end to be able to go and start going into all the resin kits and kit bashing and adding this from here and this from here. Why does it need to be separated out? And why? I just don't get it. And why is GW assuming that all of their customers are too stupid to figure out how to take two models and glue them together?
I'm not sure
because it's fake, man. Yeah. Go ahead, North.
No, I don't think it's necessarily because they think we're stupid. I think it's more they've always wanted these things separate, and they don't want legacy fans. They don't want legacy people. They don't want old, crusty grognards like us, right? Yeah, and this is something you hear from the horse's mouth. Anybody who's been there, worked there, you'll get it, right? They don't want. You're told all the time, like the bucket's always emptying of these people. That's why we don't want them. We want to fill the bucket. All Horus Heresy 3.0 is that mask slipping off.
Yeah,
and I'm saying, legacy fans, we literally couldn't give a monkey's left bollock about you. This is all about dumbing things down, taking away options, making sure that Timmy who comes in can start this and get into it, and we can start making some real money from it. That's all it is. And you've got what they haven't realised is the Heresy players are the guys who left 7th edition because they tried this stuff with them and they didn't want to do it. Heresy players will literally drop this game, play 2.0 and disappear.
Yeah.
And they will never see another cent from them. Because these are also the guys who have the resources and the time and the passion to, well, not so much time because they're all working because they have jobs. But like they
got jobs, they got money, that's the thing.
Yeah, they have 3D printers.
Yeah.
Right? So these are the guys who don't need Games Workshop. They've been sticking around with Games Workshop out of just loyalty, out of this strange, like, well, they do Horus Heresy. We do like Horus Heresy. But even 2.0 was pushing it.
Yeah.
It was pushing it. I mean, Maka were doing videos back in the day on when that came out, right? And it was pushing it. And 3.0 is literally the mask is off now. We have no compunction to entertain these old heads any longer. But the thing is, they're kind of picking on the right people. I've had a lot of people saying to me they're picking on the wrong people because they're not going to stand for this. No, the right people, because they know that the old Horus Heresy guard will just leave, and they want them to. They know they'll just go, okay, we'll take 2.0 and we'll do our own thing. Whereas Macca's doing, well, I'll make my own game system.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that in a moment. But here's something that really boggles my mind, which is if you're trying to like cultivate this new audience, whether it's a new younger audience or a new older audience, if you're trying to get 40k players to like come over to Horus Heresy, that just seems so stupid, because 40k players, if they had to choose between 40k and the Heresy mod of 40k, which is what I basically think the direction they're going in, dumbing it down, and they've both dumbed it down and complicated at the same time, which is incredible. But if as a 40k player, as that's my main game, I want to play Heresy because it's different. I have no interest in Heresy being basically a reskin of 40k. If 40k updates so often, it's a grind. It's a grind, but I love the grind. I love the pain. The pain lets me know I'm human, or whatever he says. Like I love the 40k grind, but occasionally I need a holiday, and that's both in real life and that's in my hobby space. And I want to go on a Heresy holiday. I want to go on when the last year of an edition of 40k, when everything, the power creep's going out of whack, they're releasing mad shit constantly. I'm like, okay, it's time for me to go on my Heresy holiday for 3 to 12 months. And now it's like, oh, well, you can go on your Heresy holiday, but it's like, you're just basically going, your holiday is basically going down to your living room. You're still in the house. You just gone to a different room, but it's basically you're still in your house.
It's a staycation.
It's a staycation, yeah. And it's like, well, no, I'm trying to get away from all of it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to have two flagship game systems that are overlapping, like, to such a degree where, like, they're not offering anything from one another, right? Is that the end point where these two divergent paths just meet? This all game systems become the same one, so that same customer is just tied into all these systems? It's too difficult, personally, I think, for the average wargamer to keep up, as you laid out there, Mordian, with all the updates that are going on. Like, if you're playing one game system, it's hard to juggle, or it's hard to wear both of those hats.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like people already can't keep up with the 40k churn. They're not going to keep up with the 40k and 30k churn, even if that churn.
No.
Even if that churn is like 3 years, they're not going to want to keep up with that. Like that's the mad thing.
And it's dumb. Like, they should be offering different experiences. I mean, it's so disenfranchising, because I'm over here trying to enjoy 40k to the ability I can, right? And I look over at Horus Heresy as what 40k probably should be more like, and that's going the opposite way, right? Like, it's the great. Like, I would want 40k to shift and be more like Heresy if they're going to become similar game systems. And I don't even know if the Horus Heresy community culture would be able to sustain itself the same way. Like, because the 40k upswing in popularity is in large part to the competitive crowd, right?
Yeah.
All these organized events and Team Canada or Team whatever, pick your country, right?
Yeah.
And is that the case for Horus Heresy? Is there this kind of groundswell of people wanting to play this for reals, right? Trying to be the very best?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
that's a question for Macca.
I think that's a question for Macca, yeah, because as someone coming into it, I would say that's not the reason I would be getting into Heresy as the target audience for this, apparently, 40k player. But yeah, Macca, give us your hot take on that.
Well, times be a changing, but most of the people I know got into it because of the novel series, and most of those read a particular thing in a novel and they just said, I'm going to build that.
Yeah,
that was
reading
the genesis.
something, yeah.
So wholesome.
You read a cool scene and you just go, I want to make that happen. That's the fun, right? That's you've got your imagination, you let it run wild. you have a dream in your head, you bring it to life. That's the fun of the hobby. And then you go and you throw some dice with friends, maybe even reenact a particular battle or something, have a few beers along the way, and call it a game.
Yeah.
Oh, keep going. Don't stop.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Like
But
go on.
that was the attraction. The attraction was it didn't feel like a chore to play the game.
Yeah.
It never did for me.
Yeah.
3.0, like, I have my problems with 2.0. I had a lot of problems with 2.0, and a lot of it stemmed from a certain company's inability to address issues. Just the hubris of, we've thrown it out there, you'll just suckle on that teat, and we'll, write something for you if we feel like it. Sure. But I get to 3.0 and I sit there reading the rules and the phases, and I just think to myself, like, I can't be fucked doing all this bookwork.
Yeah. I mean, this is. I actually want to get your take on this, Macca, because there's been a lot of talk about war gear this, war gear that, and I understand that if you're an existing Heresy player, a lot of the war gear getting messed around with is going to be very problematic for you. But for me, as someone who's coming into this game, who basically got into it about 3 months ago, and then paused because I was waiting to see what Heresy 2.0 was going to bring. I feel like I shouldn't have paused now. I should have kept going with 2.0. But anyway, as someone who's coming into this, the big issue for me is, in fact, I don't think any of my models get diddled by the war gear things. Maybe one or two of them. The big thing for me is the rules look shit. Like, and I keep saying this on my channel, because I feel like I'm going insane. Like, truly, I feel like I'm going insane, because it's, when you get a sense that people are just repeating something that they've read online, but they haven't actually looked into it themselves. I keep hearing this thing being bandied around online of, oh, well, the core rules look interesting, the core rules look okay. No, they fucking don't. What are you smoking? I don't want it. Keep it away from me. Clearly it's turned your brain to fucking rot. Like, how can you, you read the rules, maybe even if you read the rules in isolation, a bit like how the rules were clearly written in isolation from each other. Anyway, but you read the rules in isolation and then you go, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. If you go and watch one or two games, and these are influencers that are really trying to make the game not look like shit, bear that in mind. If you go and watch a couple of like games from this, the rules just very quickly start breaking down. The rubber does not meet the road. And there's two examples of this which really honestly have killed Heresy 3.0 to me. So they could add all the war gear back in, and I still can't get my head around this. And the first one, and this, to me, this is the double turn of Age of Sigmar. So no matter how much someone tries to explain to me that double turns in Age of Sigmar is a good thing, I can't get my head around it, because also it's bollocks. 4 turns in Heresy 3.0. 4 turns. Like,
yeah.
What? Who wrote that and thought that was going to be a good idea?
This is why I'm completely convinced that this is not. It's not just not being play tested. Not being play tested, you get something like the Leagues of Votann, right? And even that, I wanted to bring that up because there was a similar furore, but on a smaller scale, with Leagues of Votann when they came out because they were broken. And Games Workshop very quickly came out and apologized and course corrected and pulled the codex down to the current levels. I'll be very interested to say, because it's not out in stores yet, so I'll be very interested to see if they're just waiting for it to come out in the stores, waiting for people to get their books, and then for the furore to happen, and then they come out and say, we're sorry, here's a free update or whatever. I don't know what they're going to do, because none of us do yet, because they have previous in fixing these things. But the point is, Leagues of Votann wasn't playtested. Horus Heresy 3.0 doesn't look like it was looked at all, beyond being bashed out on a Word document and then sent over to be printed, right? It's as if it's so much. Horus Heresy is so much of an afterthought, they couldn't even be bothered testing it.
Yeah,
like they didn't bother reading the rules, let alone testing them. They just got them on the page. That'll do. That'll tide them over for a bit. And they will have these. It's a very, very similar relationship that Games Workshop Studio has to Games Workshop to what EA has to BioWare and those companies. EA will say, we want a live service game, make that.
Yeah.
And they'll go, well, we don't want to do a live service game. We want to do another Dragon Age game, or we want to do another Fallout game. Doesn't matter. I've got the money. You'll do as you're fucking told. All right, fine, we'll make it. You know, that kind of a thing. I think that's how it goes at Games Workshop as well. I've got no hands-on experience. I've never worked for the studio, right? I've worked in retail, but it just comes across that way. It comes across as in we don't want older people to be really getting much out of the system. This is more for new people coming into the hobby. So make a Horus Heresy edition that does that. The studio did that. Games Workshop took it and printed it.
Yeah.
There's no in between. Took it, printed it in the shop. So I'm wondering what they're going to do in the first couple of weeks when it hits shelves, because that's going to tell a lot about where their priorities are and where their heads are and what they think about the fan base. Because if they just leave it, then I think you can basically throw Horus Heresy away and say, okay, it's done, it's finished. Because if they're leaving it that way, then that's how much they actually care about it. So that's confirmed all our suspicions. If they come back and say, we're really, really sorry, this is terrible, let's fix this, that's another thing entirely. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%, I agree. Maka, what do you think about the whole 4-turn thing? Am I exaggerating it, or as someone who plays this game a bit more, do you think it's a giant bag of shit?
Well, I think we need to take a step back 2.0 and understand the situation. We had 6-7 turn games regularly in Heresy 1, and in fact, some of the Legion traits revolved around extending or reducing game turns in order to essentially swing the game.
That's cool.
So, like, for example, Iron Warriors or Imperial Fists, to represent the fact that they were really pig-headed legions and stubborn. It was one of the negative consequences of choosing that legion was your opponent could choose to potentially extend the game by an additional turn.
That's so cool. I didn't even realize that, man. Oh,
yeah, so if you were maybe it's like right on the cusp of, and they're like, oh, well, it's random game length. Will it go on or not? And you're like, nope, it's going on. Let's do an extra turn, and then you score that objective and it takes you over the line. There's real clincher of a moment. But in 2.0, the objectives changed very much in the missions. So they went to very kill point heavy missions. Even the ones that are objective based, you can win them pretty much all but one mission by just killing the other guy. So, and of course, that meant people sort of are inclined to build their armies a certain way because that's the incentives. I think of the game like economics. What the incentives are will dictate the outcomes.
Yeah.
And so the incentives that were put there were, hey, make your army really killy as opposed to, capturing and holding ground. And then they brought out the Siege of Chthoniya, where they went, all right, we've listened to you all complaining that, the games don't have any actual, tactics. So how about this? We'll make it 5-turn game maximum. And so they did that. And what we started to see was, at a maximum of 5 turns, if people were playing Rights of War or such, where they brought on reserves, many of the times you played it, those reserves never had an impact on the game.
Yeah. Because
they're just arriving by the time it's like, well, most of the points that are going to be accrued have already been accrued, especially because a lot of it revolved around progressive scoring systems, so earning points each turn that contributed to the sum total as opposed to finishing the game holding objectives. And the whole reason they brought that in, and if you look at the influencers, horrible word, that were talking about it, it suited the mindset of those who weren't familiar with the system because they're not trying to live in that world, they're trying to have fun games. And when they're trying to have fun games, it's basically a quick game's a good game sort of mentality.
Yeah.
So when you port that across into this edition, and it's a 4-turn game, to me, it becomes a situation where it's like, well, we want it to be as short as possible to make up for the fact that we've added all this other, bloat in other areas. So to keep that game time down, we'll make it shorter. And, to basically be who's got the most points at the top of turn 4. In which case your incentives are, well, people are probably just going to objective rush at the start of it now because you're telling them that's where the money lies if you want to win. And you also end up in this sort of funny situation where it's like, well, if you're just going to keep making the game shorter and shorter and shorter, and it's whoever does the best alpha strike wins, why don't you just roll a d6? Don't even play the game. Just roll a dice at the start of it, and just, 4+, you won. Good game. Thanks for coming.
That used to happen, man.
Yeah,
No, seriously. So I played 7th edition, which the core rules for 7th weren't so bad. You'll know that because like Heresy 1.0 was basically the 40k mod for 7th edition. I am being a bit brutal about it, but generally speaking, that's where its bones were. But in 7th edition 40k, when they started like adding all the different detachments on, and the game just broke to the point so much that it almost killed 40k, Hence why we had the great reset of 8th edition, where they were like, we're basically redesigning the game, it's just wearing the same skin. In 7th edition, I used to go to tournaments, and no word of a lie, you would have multiple games. We're not talking like one game here and there. We're talking like multiple games every event, where 2 players would line up into each other and go, yeah, we're both Alpha Strike armies. Let's roll off to see who gets first turn, and then whoever won first turn, they'd shake hands. That would be, because there was no way that, sometimes to humor themselves, they would like play out the first turn, but you'd have rounds that were over in like 20 minutes because it was just like.
I'll tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. So I was literally telling the story last night. It's why it came to me. I played at a Horus Heresy event, Inferno 2 or Inferno 3, pretty early on in the piece. I was playing Iron Warriors, and they had the 7th edition 40k Maelstrom missions.
Yeah, I remember those.
So this was the objective cards, but they were just random objective cards. And the system, I was fought up, I'm supposing, by a madman, because there was no system in place really for getting rid of cards that couldn't ever occur, or if you got given a bum deal. So I'm playing Iron Warriors. May or may not be known, but they're a little bit shooty as far as legions go. I got Tyrant Siege Terminators, I've got Graviton Cannons, phase plasma rifle in a 40 megawatt range, and the guy I go up against, we draw our cards turn 1. I get seize the initiative, I seize it, I get first turn. He's got a knight, I look down at my cards. I've got 3 cards that give me 3 points each for the objectives that are in my deployment zone I'm already sitting on. Bang, instantly 9 points.
Yeah.
I then have another card which gives me an additional 3 points, or D3 points, I can't remember which, if I kill a Lord of War. I look across the table, he has an Imperial Knight.
Yeah.
So I shoot it with my Graviton Cannons, pretty nasty anti-tank. He goes, okay, I'll use my special Knight Shield on that front arc, and I prevented your Graviton Cannons. I went, cool, and then shot 20 crack missiles from Tyrants into the side of it and put the thing down like old Yeller. And get D3 victory points from the objective, and I get the price of failure, which is additional victory points for killing a super heavy in Horus Heresy. It's like, hey, you gamble big, take a Lord of War, you lose big if it dies. So I'm coming out of turn 1 with like 10, 12 victory points, something like that. Yeah. The other guy looks down at his. The only one of his objectives that was doable was to take an objective, and it was one of the ones that I had in my deployment zone. That was the only one he could actually do. He's got in his hand, and he's looking down, it's like, bonus points for shooting down a flyer. It's like, there are no flyers. Bonus points for killing a prime. There are no, not Primarch or Water War. I have no Water Wars. And he's just looking through his thing, just couldn't draw a thing to save himself.
Yeah.
And then he's like, gone to the TO, like, what do I do here? And the TO's like, oh, well, this is the way the rules are written. Just sort of, play it as it was, shoot it,
yeah, suck it, yeah.
Yeah. And I felt so bad because, like, in turn 1, this guy's lost.
Yep.
I haven't even done like a major alpha strike. I killed one thing, his knight. But that was enough with those stupid objective cards to just turn this from what should have been a really fun event to just absolute dog shit for that poor guy. And through absolutely no fault of his or mine.
I think
I was just playing that one objective.
One thing I would say quick, sorry, North, is I think that you hate secondaries. It's kind of interesting. I was going to say, I think that the way they do them in 40k is the best, is a better way of doing it, because you do have a lot of mechanics for cycling through cards, and also you can just choose to pick fixed objectives at the beginning of the game as well. So I remember people were like, oh, I can't wait for them to bring Maelstrom of War back when we left sort of 7th edition. I was like, yeah, I bet you can wait, because you'll play one game of it and you'll realize, oh wait, I don't actually like this.
Dude, it just gets away from all the things that I loved about Warhammer. Like, I used to turn up to the table and we'd have 2 or 3 objectives. We're fighting over them. The objectives, if you captured them, have like specific effects, like an orbital bombardment or something. Really cool stuff going on. And it feels like a battle. It feels like 2 armies on the tabletop having a fight. I didn't come to play Warhammer to then play Magic the Gathering with your little cards. Like, I couldn't give less of a shit about, I've got this card now, so, this is worth X amount of points. I don't care. Like, I've had games where I lose like almost on purpose. Like I'll go before I stop playing 10th edition, I'd go into games and I'd refuse to play I'd say I'm not picking up these cards. You know, I wouldn't say that to my opponent. I'd say you do what you want to do. I lose like 100 to 10, but I have a really good time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And after a while, I'm thinking I don't mind losing. It's fine. And it became like a running joke at Just Play. Like I just kept rocking up and being like taking these massive losses, but thinking that I won, thinking it was great. You know what I mean? I had a really good time. But then I was thinking to myself, if I'm doing this, why am I playing this game? Like I'm clearly not the target audience. Everybody at this club, they're all really cool dudes. You've been to Just Play games. They're all really cool dudes. But they're playing secondaries. They're playing it like they're at a tournament, and it's just not me. And it feels horrible. I didn't go out of my way to convert all of my Space Marines to be bespoke and specific and narrative leaning. Just gonna go and play a card game, right? I want to see these dudes get blown up. I want to see them like holding on to an objective and then just getting smashed off by Gazgul or something. Do you know what I mean? I mean, being smashed off by Gazgul sounds really not right, but like,
hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Pay good money for that.
Yeah, well, yeah, it depends what kind of if it's a Tuesday or not. But no, like
2 for Tuesday.
that's me though. Like that's just where I am. I know I'm in the minority. I know people like secondaries, and that's fine. But it's a really big misnomer as well. Like the whole point of this video as well, it was talking about what Games Workshop's motives are.
Yeah.
It's very strange that they've got a game that has so many gotchas and so many secondaries and so many little rules that can really trip you up, but they're so enamored with the beginners.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very strange. And I know there's Combat Patrol, I know there's all this, but they don't really push Combat Patrol. They don't care.
Yeah.
Like
I think that's all lip service, dude. I don't think they really care about beginners.
Yeah. Well, what do they care about? Money.
If they did though, like, how would you introduce a new person to the Horus Heresy 3rd edition? Show them the Force Org chart.
Yeah.
Just show them and see if they can work through it on their own. Because I reckon it'd be like watching them when they deciphered the Rosetta Stone. They're like, so this is how you translate, Coptic into ancient Egyptian. Of course.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Because they're coming over from 40k where they're just like, basically, take whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why have you tried? I will keep saying this. As a 40k player, I'm looking down at Horus Heresy 3.0, and I'm like, okay, so from a nostalgic point of view, this now doesn't feel like Old Hammer, so that's not tickling my taint. And now I'm looking down at the fucking, okay, well, let's look at it from a 40k point of view, a modern 40k point of view. This is overcomplicated as balls. No, I'm all right, thank you.
Yeah, well, if you're going to take away all the flavor as well, like all your Legion war gear and things like that, whether or not, like, regardless of giving it back to people in PDF format, really want to double down that point. So maybe in my videos, and yet people say, oh, now they've got a PDF, you got to retract your words. No. Even if you give people back a bit of that flavor in the PDFs, and it is only a bit, why not just play 40k? Because at least you've got Xenos factions.
Yeah.
You've got all these different flavors of, candy to pick from in the store. Or you can come to Heresy where it's like, hey, do you like bolt guns? What about bolt guns? Over here, bolt guns. Oh, yay.
For me, it really, it just shows just a huge failure to understand, or not, if not huge, I don't want to say that GW doesn't understand their own games, but a huge mistake. So either it's a failure to understand the point of Heresy and its role in the ecosystem. It's like, when we were spraying pesticides on all the fields, we didn't understand that the bees were actually really important. So either it shows a huge failure to understand the role of Heresy in the GW ecosystem, or it's a massive deliberate mistake, because the point of Heresy is basically to be a massive nostalgia trip. Like that's the number one, for me personally, that's the number one selling point. For loads of people that I talk to, that's the one selling point. And do you know the funny thing about nostalgia? It's incredibly good at selling stuff. Why do you think most video game companies now stopped actually trying to make new shit, and all they do is do remasters of beloved titles? Because it's easier to basically sell a game that people already like, then trying to come up with a new IP and attract a new audience. So nostalgia is very, very easy to sell. And B, something that I think a lot of people don't understand is it's very, very possible to sell someone nostalgia for something they never even played back in the day, but they heard about what it was like back in the day. And if you want an example of this recently, look at Oblivion Remastered. There are so many, the majority of people that bought Oblivion Remastered never played Oblivion back in the day, but they heard about it. They heard about all the jank. They heard about all the mad shit that used to go on, and that's why when they remade Oblivion Remastered, one of the things that people praised the game for is like, they didn't get rid of the old bugs because people love the old bugs. And so if GW is like, if they're now changing Heresy, so it's not scratching Old Hammer, because it's not scratching Old Hammer, because Old Hammer didn't have 4 turns. Old Hammer didn't have losing the Force Org chart. It's no longer Old Hammer. It's changing it the way it hits, bringing things like the damage mechanic in from 40k, bringing in critical hits from 40k. It's just like you're just completely misunderstanding the role of this game in your ecosystem. It is there to basically it's there as a holiday for the 40k players for 12 months whilst they're waiting for the new edition to come out, and it's also there for the people that just want to feel the game like it was back when they were a kid. And
I'm also I'm wondering whether Games Workshop are sort of dialing into the rep that Horus Heresy players have. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, as somebody who does the Hobby Nightmares stuff, the amount of times I've had to talk people down from a ledge with Horus Heresy when they've said, every club is full of, sweaty neckbeards who, they're all big anoraks and this and that. and the way I explain it is, no. Horus Heresy is a historical wargame. It's just set in a fictional setting. So if you like bolt action, it's the same thing. Like if you go in with your pandas painted pink, there'll be a lot of people just nod along. Oh, that's fine, but they all think you're lame. Like, what a lame dude. Do you know what I mean? They'll play you, but they'll just think you're lame. It's the same thing with Horus Heresy. So I'm wondering whether Games Workshop have sort of melded into that, going, okay, we don't want these people here because if this is how they are, do you know what I mean? This isn't the kind of hobbyist we want. But my response to that would be, it's passion. That's what it is. It's literally just like, we love this thing. We read these books, all 89,000 of them, and we're really happy with not so much happy with the way the story went, but we want to recreate our own, right? We've got passion for what you want. It always, as somebody who's tried game design myself, it's so hard to get anybody to play anything you do. Yeah. And for a company to have literally the world at its feet and have people willing to give them copious amounts of money to play a game that they don't even want to make, really grinds my gears.
Here's the funny thing. You come in first, Mac, because I spoke before. I'm just going to make sure I don't forget what I was going to say.
It's just funny to me that, you see a lot of the advertising of Heresy 3 and they talk so much about these mechanics from Rogue Trader. And my friend Ray said to me, he's like, but we play Horus Heresy. We're not playing Rogue Trader. Why do they keep bringing up Rogue Trader? And I think it's a great point. Like, why do they keep bringing up Rogue Trader? Because again, it's the logic of where things fall down. They give you these conflicting statements like, we had to add back, willpower and intelligence and all these different stats. And then you look at them, and for most models, they're the same number across the board, except occasionally one of them's higher than the rest. And it's like the whole reason they got rid of those things at the end of Rogue Trader was they said, these really just do the same thing. They're usually the same number. Why not just combine them together? Like, we'll combine leadership and willpower and cool. We'll call it something like, I don't know, leadership. And then it's like, the logic is perfectly sound. We have the sacred ancient texts, as it were, that tell us why they made that change, and then they revert it and turn it into a selling point. And then people sit there nodding along going, great, excellent idea. So should I expect that we get, Horus Heresy 6th edition in, 9 years' time, and they turn around and they're like, guess what? We're introducing war gear back. You're going to have bayonets again on your infantry, and, it all comes full circle.
You're not wrong, dude. Like, honestly, tell me what you think about this, right? To that initial point you raised, it really feels to me, especially as an outsider looking in, that GW has this like big boner for pushing nostalgia to sell in Horus Heresy, right? You look at Saturnine push, you look at even Beaky's in second edition. Like, you know, Mark 6 is like it's newer. They skipped Mark 5, Heresy Mark, they skipped Mark 2. But I think I don't know, I can't help but look at it from that cynical view. It's like I feel like they make that connection that North you pointed out earlier as well, right? That historical angle, the nostalgia angle kind of harmonizes with this theme, we can call it. And I think they just like pushing the nostalgia button with regards to Horus Heresy. And then we know that they want to create these cyclical editions where there's already groundwork built in. There's failure built in, basically, so that you could revise, right? Revise with a new edition once it's time to restart the hamster wheel, right? And I think the nostalgia angle is something they're leaning on for Horus Heresy. So I think, Maka, you're probably not off the mark. You will see those failure points, like lack of war gear, lack of war gear return in future editions, right? Like, I think, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if we have, like, tactical Marines back in Primaris. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's these things they willingly take away that would be perceived as faults or flaws in game design or units, right? And they'll bring them back in, right? Like, oh, Karandris is missing. Karandris is he doesn't have a model. He's not with the new Phoenix Lords, right? It's like it kind of sucks, right, to have those beloved units, you know, fond characters you care for, unavailable to you. And then, look, inevitably, whether it's a codex or some end of the edition campaign, it'll be pushed. It'll be pushed for the sale of a new product, right? And that, yeah, that's just the way they do business, man.
Yeah, I can definitely see in them, you know, in like 3, 4, 2, maybe not that long, maybe like 2 or 3 editions time, them being like, introducing the new Space Marine Tactical Squad.
Don't you remember them? Don't you remember? I'll be so curious to see if they have the proper war gear options they're supposed to have. Because that's the whole point of the tactical squad, right? How thick is that box going to have to be?
There's no way. They'll give them a flamer and a missile launch because they'll be like, do you remember? This is what they came with back in, like, Battle of Macragge. Look at the Battle of Macragge, guys.
Let me just off myself. Jesus.
You're just trying to hurt us now. I would be surprised, actually. I would almost be at the point of putting money on it for 11th edition that they bring back Mark 7 helmets.
Oh yeah, they already started doing it a little. They tested it
just in that starter box, you know.
They tested it.
You see it in Sternguard, right? Yeah. Sternguard and the stuff. You see some of that.
The other thing I put money on, and I know this isn't aside from the main topic at hand, but it's delightfully devilish, is just start looking at your artwork. Just have a look through your 3rd edition artwork. Any picture that really stands out to you is cool. That's probably they're just gonna go through like the John Blanche back catalogue and just, that looks cool. Just make a model for it. We'll sell it on Warhammer Plus. You know, like, they've done it with everyone. You know, all that classic artwork of like Mephiston and all that, they just upcycle it, right? Like Kato Sicarius surely is coming back for 11th. Surely.
Kato Sicarius, the 11th edition.
Like, I think it's either him or Pedro that's sort of the missing main characters, or maybe like Lysander. They might want to retackle Lysander in this new Terminator scale. It's just, you know what I mean? Like, they're just... I could be wrong, but I do think they're predictable.
I think once you've been in... So here's the thing. I think that once you have been in this game for long enough, it becomes incredibly easy to notice the patterns. And one thing that I did at the end of 2024, end of last year, I did a video which, like, people in my community still point back to it and go, how did you predict this? Like, almost to the day, how do you predict this? And I did a video saying, like, this is the cycle of Games Workshop. They'll release an edition, blah, blah, blah. And then about 2 years in, 18 months in, they'll break the game. And you'll start seeing the power going all over the place. It's going to go completely bonkers. Every faction they release is going to be broken, and then they'll try, and then they'll say they'll fix it, broken, then they'll fix it, broken, then they'll fix it. And then at the end of the edition, they'll calm it down, and the new edition will come out and saying, we've listened to you, we've reduced bloat, we've simplified the game. And it's like, yeah, once this is like with 10th edition, it's like literally, I would say, the third or fourth time that I've heard. Like GW basically pulls out the old article, just republishes it on Warhammer Community at this point. like that's basically what it is. And in fact, it's so funny because I remember there was a meme that went around. So for those of you that are aware of some of the Age of Sigmar models, there's like this one for the totally not dwarves. And it's a guy who's got like a backpack on, which is full of books. And then he's got like a mechanical arm coming out, and that's holding like 3 more books, and then he's got like 2 books in his hands. It's this guy covered in books, and someone made this meme like in 8th edition, and I have seen it reposted for 9th edition and 10th edition, where it's like what it feels like to play Warhammer 40k, and then it'll be like, you know, what it feels like to play old Warhammer 40k, and then they'll have like a model where then they'll have like next to it a model which is like someone just like a single data slate in the hand, like what it feels like to play the new edition of 40k. And it's like, how is, without any editing, how is this same meme being posted and it's totally relevant for 8th edition, 9th edition, and 10th edition? Because it really feels like there's a predictable pattern here, guys. And I think we're seeing it, as you guys said, with what you're seeing, as you guys said, with models and stuff as well. Like, oh yeah, do you guys remember this unit from back in the day? We've brought it back. Here you go. Yeah,
you were spot on about the life cycle, dude. Like they that is the pattern. I think we on Grimdark Therapy we've covered it like dozens of times. It's the pattern of, you know, yeah, we listen to you guys. Like, look, 10th edition, it's simplified, not simple.
It's the Loki meme, right? Like, your savior is here, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's coming in. They're coming in just to fix all the problems, right? Like, the way you said it, Mordian, is perfect. Yeah.
That word here.
Don't think about that part, okay? Don't think about that. They are the ones responsible. And they're not fixing it for what we already are playing with. They want to fix it for the new thing, right?
Exactly.
And, like, once you go around that hamster wheel once, like, it becomes genius, very obvious.
It's genius, yeah.
They're genius. They're amazing. They are amazing.
My hatred makes me not want to agree with you.
Like, I just, there's certain parts of the company that is stupid. Like keeping all of these retail stores open when there's like one person in it and they're not even doing anything or selling anything. You know, like, but there are other things that are just genius. Because we all know they want new players, they want new blood, they don't want old blood. So what they do, they refresh it. Every single edition, this is for new people. It's now nice and simple, all right? And as those people get into the hobby and they get older for over 5 or 6 years, 4 or 5 years, whatever it is, between editions these days, they're now going, it's like Leonardo DiCaprio, right? You've aged out. I'm not interested. Get away, right? And that's exactly what they do. And
they
then they go, right,
and he gets a new one.
Yeah, we'll go. Well, it's worse than that. I mean, he's like 24, whatever.
Has he brought it down now? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So, and then they go, okay, well, you're all too old now, and you're all crusty grognards. You've been infected by the hobby. Ooh.
Oh my
God.
God.
We'll start it all over again. You know?
GW is Leo. GW is Leo, and we're just the old broad whilst he's trying to get the new broad.
We're Cameron Diaz.
Oh my God.
We're Cameron Diaz.
To be fair, there's worse people to be. Cameron, you know, well.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll take that as a compliment.
You would out of obligation, not because you actually want to.
Go on, Macca.
See, a funny thing to me is, you know, when you read through what they say and then you look at the reality of the situation, you think about 40k, how, you know, it tends to just fall apart mid-edition. Heresy doesn't really do that. You know, they are very different games in that regard. What Heresy seems to do is it just sort of fizzles out. Because not because the players stop caring, usually because the company stops caring. They just get, you know, we're 14 months out from release. All right, wrap it up, boys. You know, cut it away. You know, turn off the printing press. They just stop caring, and because the game goes into caretaker mode, it just sort of now there's no updates. Hardly any miniatures come out, if any at all. You know, just be like the token. Here's Centurion this week. You know, here's a decal sheet. Here's something for Legions Imperialis. Somehow that counts. you joke, I joke, but it happened.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they start the cycle a year later after not supporting it. And you look at, like, I'm reading here, and they say, like, you know, we didn't want to overload the books. That's the reason why we got rid of the war gear. That's the reason why we didn't put these units in there. These books would have been, you know, so difficult to lug around. It's like, it's a 353-page book. 154 of those pages are just fluff and background material. So maybe, just maybe, you could have just made that its own book. Put the fluff and the art into its own collectible thing, like a campaign book, perhaps.
I just
like
I
Heresy
just want to say this idea.
And then maybe,
just 1 second. This just very, very quickly. This idea of you can't lug the book around. I don't know how old they think the average Heresy player is, but we're not geriatrics. We're in our fucking 30s, okay? And the idea that I don't have the ability to take a book from point A to point B is just weird. Like, what? Like, and again, it completely misunderstands the whole vibe of Heresy, its role in this ecosystem. As a 40k player, I am used to everything being digital. When I come to Heresy and I see a big fucking book, a weighty tome, I am like, yes, now this is Warhammer. I could put this in a pillowcase and brain a man with it. This is the vibe I am wanting. This isn't a digital game. This isn't a mono game. This is how it used to be back in the day. And even if you're someone who never played it back in the day, you imagine, like, imagine the fucking trip that it would be. And someone goes, okay, here is your Liber Hereticus, and it's this big 350-page book, whatever. You're like, oh, look at it, it's a beast. You know, that's the vibe that you're gonna get. It's gonna be like, oh my god, like, you know, all these new people coming in. Oh my god, it's like on physical paper, like wild, man. You know what I mean? No, but they just don't get it. Anyway, sorry, Mark. I just had to say that. Like, why do they think we have to have smaller books? I don't know.
No, it's fine. It's just funny to me because it's like you could have filled some of those pages with those rules, and when you see the leaks and you read these pages, just like in Heresy 2, half the page is usually blank. It's because it's got artwork on the bottom of the page, and you sit there going like, "Come on, did you really like make?" It's like a kid doing a school assignment, like, looking a bit short here. Let's just double space a few white characters, you know, maybe increase the size of the font a little bit. It feels like that. And it's like, well, why don't you use a few more of those pages more effectively, more efficiently? Or maybe you go, you know what? Let's just put the core Astartes rules into one book. Like, here is the Legiones Astartes units that everyone can use. And then maybe we'll make a second book, which has all of the stuff that's unique to the Loyalists or the Traitors. And then you have two smaller books you can carry around instead of, like, one 4-pound tome. And they're like, no, well, okay, that didn't occur to them. So they don't want us to carry a lot of books, but then they say we're going to bring out journals. And we're going to have this day one PDF, which is just adding all this other stuff back in the game. Some of it is suspiciously specific. Compared to some of the other stuff they listed, like, oh, by the way, this thing happens to exactly be Tartarus Terminus of Power Fist. But anyway, and so it's like we haven't even hit day one yet. We're not even at day 0. We're at like day -4.
Yet. We're not even done.
And we already have a day 1 FAQ and below.
And again, what is this? 40k? I don't want this. I already do this for 40k. I want this. I want to go into Heresy and buy my big fucking book and my big fucking Liber, and I just want to be like, bosh. And this, now I'm sorted. I am sorted for the next, 18 months. Because I have no. Here's one thing, which is kind of, again, I keep saying this 40k player thing because I think it's important to add that perspective in as someone who I really feel like they were trying to appeal this game because they fucking weren't appealing to the traditional crowd. So they must have been trying to appeal to all the ADHD riddled 40k players, right? I'm just saying, like, I want to come into this. I actually don't mind the journal system. I don't mind if they start updating Heresy on a semi-regular basis. I love Old World. Old World is probably my favorite game at the moment. I like 40k is my work, Old World is my pleasure. And Old World, they've done like 2 FAQs for it, which were just FAQs. Like, this is how we meant the rule to work. We understand there's a bit of confusion around it. So all it was question answer. It wasn't an errata, wasn't sweeping change. It was just, here is a question, here is an answer. And then 18 months in, they did the 1.5. So we've had Old World version 1, and then here's your book. It's the match play book. Here's your 1.5. And because there was 18 months, and because they'd given us a little sign here and there from these 1 or 2 FAQs that they were engaged with the game, it was like, okay, yeah, GW, this is a good pace. But you're not fucking with it constantly. You're not constantly changing the game. And when everyone is just starting to get a little like, oh, you know, Old World, I've played the same like 3 missions for like 18 months now. Just as everyone's starting to get ready to jump to something else, boom, 1.5, okay, I'm locked back in. And I would have no issue with them doing that. And look at all the Arcane journals. They release an Arcane journal every bloody month, it feels like, in Old World. So, and that has been very, very well received by crotchety old people and new people who have come into the game. Because Old World isn't just people that played Fantasy. In fact, the majority of people that play Old World are people that have come over from 40k. So they have the system, they have the way that it works. And then they've just, with Heresy, they've just gone, nah, we're just not going.
Well, there's a point on that though, because I actually think I kind of disagree with that last bit. I don't think a lot of people who've gone to Old World have gone from 40k. I think they've gone from Total War Warhammer 3. I think a lot of people have got involved through that. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And with where Total War is going to go, we know the next game is going to probably be 40k based. I'm wondering whether Horus Heresy becoming more 40k-ified and then becoming more unified as a thing is because Games Workshop want that continuity between the Horus Heresy directly relates to 40k because it's the prequel, and here we go, and they're homogenizing everything under one umbrella for the influx of people they think they're going to get from this new game. Maybe that's an interesting point to make. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me. They do like to marry things together. They do like to keep things homogenous, grey sludge. Don't be too different, you know. Just wondering if that may be the case. I don't know if anyone else has any opinions on that.
There's a certain weirdness to it in that because in the other games, they typically update them in a certain fashion. With Heresy, they just seem to really, really, really strive to not change the words that they print in the books.
Yeah.
Like Heresy 2 was really strong in this regard. Like they spent a lot of the FAQ time, in errata time, just talking about reactions. And it's like dreadnoughts. If you had to pick one thing, the community would have picked dreadnoughts, you know, and they just don't touch it. And you're like, why are you not tackling this problem? Like, change the points, fix the unit. They refuse to. And those sort of things like it drives people nuts. It absolutely drives people nuts. I know it drives me nuts because you sit there going like, this could be so much better with so few changes, you know, and you're throwing it away. You're throwing away this great opportunity to earn some good karma.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely odd when you compare it to how frequently the updates are. Like why the hesitation to modify Horus Heresy?
Reporting for duty, sir.
I think it's weird because they're like, it's really weird because it will tell you what, it's like they're trying to, in that regard, it is a very stark reminder of what it used to be like back in the day, because people do have rose tinted glasses, and people go, oh yeah, I hear people unironically say that 7th edition Warhammer 40k was the best edition, and I'm just like, are you actually insane? 7th edition was the worst edition, and it will be for all time. The thing is that back in the day, things used to be released, and if they were broken, well, better get used to seeing a lot of it. And if it was bad, if your codex came out and it was trash, it was like, well, guess we'll see you next edition then, because it was just like that's just how it was. They never changed anything. And with Heresy, it's like, They know there's a better way of doing things because they can see that things get updated and all this kind of stuff in other game systems. But then with Heresy, there's like, no, we're not going to. We're going to change things in ways that you're all going to hate, and we're not going to touch the things that we know need fixing. It's like the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a funny thing, isn't it? Because you just wonder, like, you know, why this particular approach for this game system? Like, who are you trying to appeal to? Why are you doing it that way? You just end up with like more questions than answers, don't you? When you sort of dig beneath the surface. The thing I find really interesting though is, you know, I had a crappy afternoon of scrolling through a lot of comments of just negativity pointed, very pointedly aimed at me.
No, you
it
are.
does
You're
wear
the,
you down
that's 'cause
after a little while.
You're the salty boy, Macca. That's it. That's the rep. That's the rep, man. You're
It is. It is the rep. If anyone else made the same points I do, I think they'd get away with it. I'm
definitely.
You know, some people have instant charisma. You know, you meet them, you're just like, I like this guy. You know, something about him. He just seems like a nice dude. They captivate the audience with their words. I am the opposite of that. I am Marmite or Vegemite. You either love me or hate me. You know, I've got to earn my way into your good books. And so I'm trolling through his comments and reading them. The amount of people that are just cutting him slack now, this fixes everything. He's like, hang on, you know they don't go back and fix what's written in the books. So you know that even if they add all this stuff in the PDF, they're not actually fixing your core issues. They're not giving bayonets back to tactical marines, you know? Like, they're not giving powerful to Tartarus. They're giving you a different unit of Tartarus.
Yeah.
You know? So you're not going to be mixing and matching weapons in there, are you? So where's the naivety? It's like, if I came over to your house and I took all the windows out of it and took all the doors off, and then I put most of them back in, but not all of them, would you thank me for it? And yet the community does this sort of thing. And then they try and explain it away because they deflect from the real argument. You come in and you say, look, here is a valid criticism. They've taken away all these units of war gear. They could have included them in the book, you know, yada, yada, yada. All the things we've been talking about. And they go, oh, it's just toy soldiers.
Oh,
and they just
why are you here? Then why are you here? If it's just toy soldiers, well, why the fuck are you even commenting? Okay, if you don't give a shit, then get the fuck out.
If you hate the game so much, you know, if you hate the game so much, why do you even play it? So I criticize it because I love it.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a family member who's hooked on drugs, do you just like, well, we'll help him dose up, or you like, you know, let's
it's only drugs.
Yeah. You try to take him off the methamphetamine? Who the fuck do you think you are? You know,
and my guest
and the community's like that. They just and like I've been getting banned off forums today, and I've been sitting there just
man.
Going through the comments and going, well, it's not that surprising. I've been banned off a lot. It's not really an achievement.
Wait, is it Reddit?
No, this time it was on a Facebook page. But
that's even worse. Right? That's even worse.
A ban is a ban from whatever, right? It doesn't matter why. But it's very interesting to see, like, I put up a comment and it's like, oh, well, you know, I think it's a bit rich how people can come in and express their dissatisfaction with the game system. And then this other group comes in and just says, well, it's just toy soldiers, or, do you even like the game? And they can just shut it down straight away. And then I express that, I get banned. Someone else comes in and they're just like, they released a PDF. Shows all you losers that I was right. The game is awesome. You all jumped the shark. You owe me an apology. You owe me $50. You know, and it's like, so hang on. There's this double standard in morale and morals in this community, where it's like, if you've got really high morale and you love this game system and you want to pep it up, you get treated one way. But if you sit there going like, hey, here's some obvious flaws, they just jump on you, they pounce on you, you know, and they're just like, how dare you point out all these really rational, obvious things? Like, you're taking people's fun, you fucking Grinch.
And it's like, and the thing is,
insecurity.
Exactly. And the PDF doesn't even fix the problems. The war gear was never the problems. The war gear is the red herring. I will say this until I am blue in the face. The war gear is the red herring. They could have released the most impeccable, comprehensive war gear list. We could be not having this conversation about war gear. That would just pretend it never happened. In one of the billion universes that Doctor Strange looked into, there was just one where Games Workshop didn't fuck up the war gear. Let's pretend we're in that universe, okay? The game, the core game, is still balked beyond recognition. Like I said, have you guys seen, let's get into specifics for a second. Have you guys seen the terrain rules? They somehow, by some crazy, unholy miracle, made terrain rules that are worse than Warhammer 40Ks. How? How the fuck did they manage that?
Terrain rules are like? Those terrain rules are like those two dudes fighting in the house with the bayonet and Saving Private Ryan. Where, yeah, it's like the other guy's at the bottom of the stairs, you know, and he knows the fight's going on, but he doesn't want to go up there. That's what the terrain rules are like. It's like there are guys fighting 2 inches away, but 3.5 inches away. He's just like, oh geez, you know, that sounds like a really nasty fight happening over there. I just not get involved in that. Yeah.
It's like, honestly, like,
that's how they play.
It's the terrain rules are so unfathomably bad. Like, I don't think people have quite cottoned onto it yet. And I have seen. I'm not going to name any names here because I don't want to assume malice where there may not be any. But I've seen a few battle reports now from influencers that are very like purposely only using light terrain, and I'm like, yes, this is a bit weird, you know. Why are you only using light terrain? And then I will shout out someone who I think deserves a shout out here, Winter's SEO. He did a battle report where he had a board that was a proper Heresy board. It was one that, you know, it's like reminiscent of ones that he's set up in the past. And if I was a betting man, I bet there's a reason he set that up, because he does have an NDA with GW, but he's pretty open about like some criticisms with them. And he set up this board, and instantly the terrain rules broke the game. It like instantly. And there's this one instance where he was like, okay, so I've got my unit. There's 2 things that jumped out to me. He was like, I've got my unit of support guys. I've spent like 2 turns moving them up to the top level of this ruin so that they could get like what would have been in 2nd edition, a commanding view of the entire battlefield. He gets there and he can't see anything. He can't see anything. Because it was all medium terrain, so we can't see more than 3 inches into it. And then there was this other bit where he had a unit of tactical marines that advanced into one side of a ruin, another from one side, and then the unit of tactical marines that were in the ruin but they were only on the edge of the ruin. Neither side could see each other because they were 3.5 inches away, and you had a building where both sides could very clearly see each other. Both units were inside the ruin, but they couldn't see each other, so they couldn't shoot, and they couldn't even charge, because you can't charge what you can't see. And it's just like, what the fuck is going on? Like in 40,
it's like a Tower player's wet dream. It's like,
sounds terrible.
Like in 40k, once I go into the ruin, I can see completely out of that ruin, and you can see completely into it. And that actually, because people say, oh well, it's like that. You can't see through ruins in 40k. Yeah, but I can get in a ruin in 40k and then see out of it. I can't do that in a lot of the cases with Heresy. It's just completely fucking balked, man. It's like, do you know what it is? Very, very last thing. They've copied Warlord's homework. They've copied Warlord Games' homework.
Yeah.
Because in Warlord Games, you have dense terrain that you can't see through, and if you go into it, unless you're on the edge of the terrain, you're still affected by the dense terrain. But the thing is with Warlord Games, all that the dense terrain, when you go into it, it opens up like a ruin in 40k. The whole 3-inch thing is just the enemy still gets a cover save because you're trying to like shoot through the trees, but you're not on the edge of the tree line. And they've tried to copy Warlord's homework and then change a few answers to make it look like they've not copied, but by changing the answers, they've got the answer wrong.
No, completely, because Warlord Games know how to write rules.
Yeah,
and it is as simple as that. I will say on the influencers point, one thing that these situations are good for is you can sieve out the guys who shouldn't be trusted.
The
on
ball
YouTube.
washers.
Yeah, you can sift them out. And I've seen a few on my thumbnails where I've just gone, okay, unsubscribe, without even watching the video, because they're all there with their thumbs up and thumbnail. Yeah, it's going to be awesome, guys. No. Sorry. Off you go. Off you fuck.
Go away, GW sales rep.
Yeah, exactly. And there are a few out there. I'm not going to name any names, obviously it's Mordian's channel. I don't want to get him nuked.
Yeah,
but
please.
But, you know, again, like Winters, there are people out there who are actually caring about what the game is like and what it is. I think that rant from Maka before has been a long time coming, because he is somebody who he takes a right kicking all the time for, you know, you're salty, you're negative and all that sort of stuff. But it's literally the reason why he's so popular with the Heresy crowd is because Heresy players are all absolutely logical. right? And to a fault, right? They're all like, okay, this isn't working, so let me show you how it can work, right? And if it's still not working, I'm going to keep calling it out until you change it, right? The problem that Macca often has is that Games Workshop is not a company that takes feedback. So like you can give them all this feedback, you can give them all the answers, and they'll still somehow mess it up. And as you've just said, Mordian, they can even look at somebody else's rule set, copy it over. And to be fair, I don't think, I know you play Warlord games, you play bolt action, things like that. If they just copied some of those rules over into Horus Heresy, nobody would give a fuck. They go, yeah, good, it's a good rule. Fine. Great. Like, you're learning. You're recognizing there are other people out there who can write rules better than you. If you can't beat them, join them. Same thing with 11th edition. If they bring in alternating activations and a bunch of things from OPR, people will go, great. Cool, you're learning. Good. Yeah. Right, yeah, I'm no longer standing here for an hour and a half whilst this dickhead has his turn. Right? Great. Yeah. And we can have some fun. Or if they came out with, there's a really crunchy style of 11th edition 40k, which is tournament based, which is competitive, and then the other one is alternating activations, and it's very narrative based, heroic, things like that. Everyone goes, great, thank you. No one's going to have a go at Games Workshop for copying things that work. Yeah. And I think the ego of Games Workshop is, we're the market leader, we're the ones who are telling everybody else what works and what doesn't. And if we copy something from somebody else, we have to keep on the down low because we're the big boys. We're the ones who are supposed to be leading everybody else. We defined what wargaming was. That's why they will never do alternating activations, because they can't. Because it would result in them having a climb down on, maybe we got it wrong. Maybe this isn't the best way to play a wargame. Maybe our flagship game, the key mechanic of I go, you go, is not right. Yeah, that's why they're never going to do alternating activations in any of their major games on the tabletop. And this is why I'm coming down on the line of, I don't think they'll course correct with 3rd edition, 3.0 Horus Heresy. I think this is it. Yeah. I don't think we're going to get Leagues of Atan climb down. I think it's going to be, this is it. And if you don't like it, go elsewhere. And they're banking on the Horus Heresy players doing that, and I think they will. Okay, I'll go elsewhere. Yeah, that's fine. That's all right. Yeah. But tell you what, I think this is a very good opportunity to talk about Horus Heresy, the Outer Circle edition, the Circle Heresy. Macca, hell yeah. I am ready. Give me the elevator pitch. Sell me on the Circle Heresy, because I've heard about it, but I know nothing about it.
So, basically taking it back to 1st edition, we sat down over many, many days of gaming. I have friends who regularly come up and go at my place. I got a 16 meter by 6 fully insulated building, which is just for hobby. Nice. On my property. Brand new building, and we sit in there, we drink copious amounts of alcoholic beverages, we play a lot of 30k, and of course as you play, rules come up, and you sit there as the group do when you're looking through rules going, this is stupid. Yeah. And this happened a lot. About the time where Sanguinius died to Leman Russ, and then Leman Russ subsequently died in a turn to Ferrus Manus, I was sitting there going, this is a problem. This just doesn't make sense, right? We got into this because we love the universe, we love the lore, and there's so many things with this gameplay that we would change. And we started listing it out, we'd change this, or change that. Then we go out, we grab some brisket off the smoker, because, I'll cook a big, 20-hour slow-cooked brisket. I'm sitting there, getting the meat sweats.
I'm emigrated to Oz.
I literally just was thinking that, but we're all going to turn
on. Yeah. You get to the point where you're, undoing the button on your pants because you've just got that much meat inside you. Take that comment however you want.
I was going to say...
And it can go either way.
If that's what it takes to get the Circle Edition, I'll take one for the team.
Emperor's Children player over there.
Got to get in your inner circle. And,
God.
Just sitting there with the meat sweats on, and now it's well, I can't move for the next 40 minutes, so we can talk more. And we're sitting there, there's so many things wrong with 2.0 that if you were to redo it, you'd be rewriting so much of it, you may as well just write another game. Write it from scratch. Then we said, well, hang on a minute. We have a game that we didn't feel was that terrible, and it was first edition. We really liked it. We liked the balance of it. There was things that needed fixing, but it was within the scope of like what one FAQ could fix. I said, well, hang on a minute. Why don't we take Heresy 1?
Is that true? I heard Magnus was a problem.
When he first released, in the hands of certain players, shall we say, of an power gaming persuasion, he could be very problematic.
Okay.
Thousand Suns are a bit of an outlier because every time they write them, every edition always has like that one psychic power, which is just the fuck you button.
Yeah.
Whenever it's activated. Yeah, Magnus had one of those.
Okay, so that's very easy to fix that.
Yes. So and without those psychic powers, it's not an issue. So basically, so like, what are the things that 2.0 did really well? Let's take those, port them over into Heresy 1, and let's do a tidy up pass on Heresy 1. So that's where Circle Edition has really come from. It's let's take all the things we know worked, and let's just try and condense that down and really try and keep that. It's far from perfect. It's going to take a lot of work to make it into a playable game, but I'm just like one guy with his mates when we can get online going, all right, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, talk me through it, and putting it all into Google Docs. It's a slow process. I'm hoping to have it out in September at the rate I'm headed. But we're talking just huge amounts of condensing because of, the gypsy speak that I was talking about earlier that goes into rules writing. You have paragraphs of rules, and I've gone, when you write a book, you start to just see how many rules there are in it when you really sit down and write it out. Yeah. There'll be rules that are like, invulnerable saves can't be taken against blah, 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 and invulnerable saves cannot be taken against this. You go, why'd you say it twice?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of that. So I think I ended up condensing 88 pages down into 25.
Nice.
And it says exactly the same thing. And a lot of the people who've now been reading through it are going, oh, actually, that does actually work. Huh. Well, you can do that. It's like, yeah, so why didn't they? And, there are these great game systems out there, like, Cool Mini or Not's Song of Ice and Fire is a great example. Or, what goes on with, like, Warlord games. And you're getting like, oh, there are plenty of people that can write condensed rules. You don't need to sit there and try and lawyer speak and cover all eventualities in like one flow-on long paragraph of a rule. You can condense things down.
I really
like doing
that
a lot
about,
of that.
Just very, very quickly, I really like that about Warlord games. The way they write their rules feels like someone is talking to you, not like it's a legal document. Like they'll have like I give just, this is off the top of my head. So in bot action, you can choose your unit to go down. It's kind of like in back in the day in like old school 40k, you could go to ground, right? So you can go down, and not if you're out in the open, it will give you a cover save. If you're already in cover, it'll give you a bonus to your cover save. But they have a little exception to this, which is if you're within point blank range. So if you're within like 6 inches of each other, how the rule basically reads, and I'm paraphrasing here, is go down in cover, go down out the open, get a bonus, go down in cover, bonus to your cover save. However, if you go down in cover whilst in point blank range, you'll get the benefit of cover, but you won't get the bonus to it from down. And it'll have like a hyphen or like a dash, and it'll go, because crawling around on the floor in a point blank firefight isn't a good idea. And it'll just have that bit on the end of the rule, and it's like, oh yeah, like it's clearly explained, and then it's like, this is why we've done it, and it doesn't have to be repeated. Like in Warhammer Horus Heresy, there are rules. A rule is a way that you play the game. And it's like, also, there's a tape measure. Tape measure these things that you go down to B&Q and buy from the store. It's like, that's what they do with the GW rules. They like legal speak it, but then you don't need legal speak people to understand how it works.
Well, I think also the size of the rules means you can charge money for your book. That's something that we don't really, and Maka doesn't need to do that, right? So yeah, very sensibly, half of the verbiage is just cut out. I often, if I'm editing like an essay or whatever, I'll often say, look, you you could condense this one paragraph into 2 lines. Like, I know you're clever, I know you're smart. I don't need all of these lovely adjectives. I just need you to tell me what you mean. And the Games Workshop, you know, I can't read some of their books because it just makes my teeth itch. Like, you're just like, dude, like.
They just want to shake them and say, "Speak plainly," right?
In these 3 paragraphs, there was like 2 lines that I needed to see. That's it. You could condense the rest of it down. But it's there because of bloat. It's there to make sure that you think you're getting your money's worth. If you see one rule and it's like half a page, and you go, what a big meaty rule. Good game design isn't that. Good game design is chopping things down till you can't take anything else away again. It's getting out the player's fucking way. Get out the way. Let them play the game, right? And I think what Maka's doing there is he's shaving it down. He's making sure that there's no air between you and the rules. Like, you literally read the rule, there it is, done, you're off. You know, if you need a clarification, and you probably won't. Considering the size of that rule, like 25 odd pages, you probably won't even need a clarification because you've all read it that many times, right?
Yeah.
They're just not very well designed. Even from a writing standpoint, it's, you know, there's always typos. In this book, you've spent like 60 odd quid on wherever it is. There's always typos. And every other page, you're like, that's not right. Why is that comma there? You know, it's just...
Yeah.
Nah.
I'll add to that, North, in that it's really depressing when you read through a rule and you're being waterboarded through like 3 paragraphs. And when you get to the bottom of it and go, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I got to read it again.
Or you get to the bottom of it and you're like, that doesn't make sense. Like, either or. And you're like, so I've gone through all. I'm not getting that time back. That's time in my life. I could have, been studying something else, and instead I've just lost it. I'm never getting that time back.
That happens honestly, when I was going through like the charge rules in 3.0, and I was going through the challenge rules, I was like, okay, so I do this bit, then this bit, then this bit. Fuck. Right, I for one moment I lost my concentration. Okay, I've got to go back, and I'm like having to like maybe I am just a bit thick, but I was having to like read it out loud so that I could like get it, because like I was just not picking it up by just reading it. I had to like say it out loud. I was doing it on stream. I was like, so this is the process, and then I had to like go, okay, so this means you do this kind of thing. And and then it was like 63 steps to do a charge. And then actually, the way it works is move your initiative forward, shoot a bit, charge in, 2d6 bit the highest. So, well, that was actually only 2 sentences that was needed to explain how a charge worked. Why is it like 5 pages long? It's just weird. But so, Maka, going back to Circle Edition, so it's a big condensation. It's like it's boiling it down. It's like an espresso shot. But are there any changes? Are there any things that you've brought in from maybe 1.5, or things that have been learned from 2nd edition?
Most definitely. The biggest change is force organization chart.
Ooh, controversial. Okay, I'm ready.
In the force organization chart of Horus Heresy, you tend to see a real glut and bloat in essentially HQs, elites, and heavy support. Troops and fast attack are neither here nor there, right? As far as slots go, and Primarch, Fortification, Lord of War, who cares? But those 3 slots in particular just are crowded. So what I've done is I've gone in and turned all of the consoles for the legions, and I'll be doing the same Mechanicum with their different Mechanicum Lord types. I've actually written them down in long form. This is what this console is. Here's what he's armed with, which is something neither 1 or 2 did particularly well, because they would have all these criteria in there, little asterisks and symbols, and it would be like, oh, okay, so this piece of war gear can't be taken by this console upgrade. And of course, the 2 pages that tell you that are 100 pages apart, quite literally, in the Heresy 2 book. And it's really confusing. So I made it easy for HQs. And when it comes to elites, I said, well, why are dreadnoughts? Like, Contemptors are in elites, Derridaos are in heavy, Leviathans are in heavy, Castiferum dreadnoughts are in elites. Why are these things spread all over the place? They're all dreadnoughts. They're all the ancients of the Legion. With only 3 heavy support slots, it's like, all right, if I take a Predator, a Derridao, and a Leviathan, I've used up all my heavy support choices, and it's got me like 3 models. It's kind of like, So essentially I'm going in, I'm like, okay, I'm creating a new category, which is going to be all the dreadnoughts, walkers, automata. Creating a category that's going to be artillery. So that's where like your Legion Rapiers, your Legion Artillery, like your Whirlwinds, your Basilisks, your Medusas, Quad Mortars, all that goes in there. And
That's really cool.
I'm creating an armor category, and armor is where all your tanks go, funny enough. So your Land Raiders, your Spartan tanks, all that sort of thing.
So it's the same Force org chat that we know and love, but there's just basically granularity to it. So and condensing it down. So removing a couple of... So like, why do we need 4 elite slots? 2 or 3 will be more than enough. Same with heavy support. Well, now let's cut it down to 2. Yeah.
So, and then I've also written in there, basically, once you start hitting 3,000 points plus, you basically get 1 extra Force org slot for everything.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
So that way it's just an easy, as the points go up, we'll open up more slots so you can add more stuff. As opposed to this really ambiguous, like, here is your Force org chart. If you fill it all up, shrug. Don't know what happens at that point, but, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, you play a really... Yes, because when you play a really big game of Heresy, and I know having played big games of Heresy 1 and 2, because it's so quick and easy to fill up things like heavy support, where you have really expensive units that do a lot of the legwork for you, you're sort of like, oh, well, I've filled those slots now, what am I going to fill the rest of the points with? So you start... then you fill the elites out and you go, okay, now I'm sort of hitting the dregs. Do I buy more troops? It's like 100 points for 10 tactical marines. You're playing a 6,000 point game. That's a lot of tactical marines at that point.
Yeah.
So by opening it up, and it opens up more HQs, because like we want to encourage people to take more of those characters. And 3 HQs, at 1,000 points, it's a lot. At 2,000 points, it's fine. At 2,500 points, you've probably used all 3. So from that point on, you're not adding any new character dynamics to the army. And what is the point in having like 15 different consoles if you can't use them?
Yeah.
We want to encourage people to not just take the same ones over and over and over, like, oh, this is really good, I'll just take this. It's like, well, now we're opening it up, why don't you try some others? Because, it's not going to penalize you as much because you're getting more slots now. You're not taking a precious minimal allocation that there was and filling it. Now you're getting more options. So trying to encourage that as one of the major changes in the edition.
That's cool. I like it. I like the fact that it scales as well.
Also free.
Also free.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, a big goal of mine is... So I hate the way that they lay out a lot of their books. Some people are fine with it. I personally have gotten sick of going through my Liber book, and I feel like, Gandalf when he gets to Minas Tirith in the first Fellowship of the Ring, and he's going through all the old scrolls, and he, looking for things about the One Ring. I feel like that, like trying to write an army list where it's like all my Legion units are at the back of the book. The regular units are at the front of the book. Somewhere in the middle is a nebulous amount of rules and war gear and weapons, and it's all over the place, and you can never find anything. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to write the core rules for the edition. Move, shoot, assault, morale, psychic. That's a document. How to use your vehicles, how to use your flyers, how to build your army, how to play your objectives and your missions. That's a document.
Yeah.
Then all right, here's your Legion list. Hey, guess what? All the weapons for it, it's its own document, because when you want to look at this stuff is during game. So it's like, well, you're not going to print out the whole Legion, like, long format rulebook to play your game. You're just going to print out the units you want. In which case, if you just have a PDF of all the weapons, then you can just go, yes, this is the only part I actually need to take with me on the day is my list, and this printout of the weapons and war gear. Cool. So trying to break down these documents, same as special rules, it's its own document. Now, you might say this is a lot of bookkeeping, but this is what stops it from becoming an 800-page tome. Because anytime you need something, if we print it out, you can just open it. And when I, hopefully, if I get everything done that I want with the edition, I'll hyperlink everything. So you can download it as a series of PDFs.
Yeah. It's
you can put them onto... You can put them onto a tablet, and then you can just go, I don't know what this rule is. Tap the screen. It takes me straight to it.
Yes.
That's the end goal of where I want it to be. But it's also the place where I feel the official rules should be at this point in history.
was gonna say, have you ever
Yeah, go
seen
on.
the Old World Builder, the list building app for Old World?
I have.
Yeah,
I
think
have.
that's what you're describing there is what they do, where it's like this unit has got these rules, and it's like, oh, what does behemoth mean? And you click on it, and it brings up the behemoth rule, and you're like, oh, I don't need to go. Even though in the main rule book and even though in the physical print, these are all disparate elements, and you have to go for like 100 pages one way, 100 pages the other way. The advantage of it being on a digital rule set is you can have hyperlinks, which is basically all they are. They're just hyperlinks. So yeah, I think that's a really, really good idea.
So it's just trying to be an edition by a player who's been playing this since day dot. I mean, I've been playing Warhammer in some form or another for 30 years at this point.
Yeah.
It's just an edition by players for players, because I know the things that suck about playing these games. I'm not a designer who's either not worked in this before or has never played this before, who's been just bought in. They're like, hey, you're just being assigned, write this system. Corporate has decided, you're the one doing it. This is your job. No, I'm sitting here going like, hey, these are all the things that went really, really wrong in previous editions. Let's try and fix that. Like, I know what missions work. I know what missions don't work. I know a lot of the incentives that, lead players down the path of building awful lists that just suck to play against and suck the fun out of you. So I'm going to try and avoid those pitfalls. I guarantee I won't.
Yeah.
Something will slip through. Something always slips through. But the other thing is we're open to the feedback. That doesn't mean everyone's going to get their wish.
And you're not a giant corporation with like quality control and everything.
No,
right?
no.
You're one bloke. You're allowed a bit of leeway.
But if people come in, I get 100 people who all comment, this rule sucks, I'm probably going to look at that rule. I'm not just going to go, yeah, well, Circle Edition 2.0 will be in 3 years' time, so if you can just hold out would be great. That's it's not the plan.
And
the other thing I also want to do...
Yeah, go on.
That's going to be the main thing, isn't it? Like, can you imagine it just makes them look silly. Sorry for butting in.
No, butt away.
Can you imagine? Like somebody says to Maka, "Hey, Maka, this isn't working. This like charge rule, like through this one piece of terrain, isn't working," and he just fixes it.
Yeah, and because I think what's
hilarious.
What's kind of mad is Games Workshop has sort of digitalized a lot of rules for Warhammer 40k.
Yeah.
But what's really fucked up is they have like the core rules digitally available for like free online, like still like in the app and everything. But when they do an FAQ, they have the FAQ as a separate document. They don't update the core rules as like a version 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, and it's always boggled my mind. And one person in my community, because there was all these people that were like, oh well, it's too much to keep going in and like updating the core rules constantly, because all the GW ball washers. One person in my community spent like an afternoon when he was meant to be at work but there was nothing going on, just basically taking those core rules, taking the bits from the FAQs and using like the snipping tool on his fucking laptop, like snipping it out and putting it over the core rules and be like, look, there's the updated bit now. And it's just like, what again, we're not, I want this to not just be like a shit on GW thing. I want this to be like hyper up Macca's Circle Edition thing. But it boggles the mind that they have everything in front of them and they just don't put two and two together. So I would say, Macca, like being, taking that feedback on and having like Circle Edition version 1, Circle Edition, version 1.1, and being like, this is based on this feedback and everything. And having like it's like when you go on like ModDB, you can download older versions of the mod if you want to, because some people might be like, well, I actually like the way the original version worked, and some people are like, no, we want the new version, that's the one that we think's better. I think that would be a great way of doing it, and I think it would be, oh fucking, that's my alarm going off, sorry guys. I will have to shoot off in a minute actually, but I think that is a great way of doing it. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, just having those versions and taking the feedback on board and having the hyperlinks and focusing on it as like a digital thing. I think it's very, very good.
The one thing that I have found depressing about this whole process, though, is I've got through core rules. I've written up most of the weapons for militia, marines, for mechanicum, for solar auxilia. I'm through the HQs, elites, and troops on the Astartes, and I'm one guy putting in an hour or two a night at most. What the hell does Games Workshop do for that 3 years in between? Like, if I can do it this quickly, I'm not like optimized to do that job. Their software, their formatting is all preset to just plug and play, right? Surely they're at the point where they've got an algorithm where they can just say, generate me roughly this sort of type of unit, and then it spits out and they go, cool, and then they just go in as a human and just tweak it a little bit to get it sort of where they feel it fits. What are they doing? What are they doing with the time?
It's very telling that we see this time and time again across multiple industries, and like look at like video games, like indie developers versus like big AAA studios. It's very if my job was a rules writer for Horus Heresy, and that was my job for 8 hours a day, I reckon I could write an edition in like 6 months.
And that was what Alan did. And that's part of why, we loved him so much. He had the passion, and he just got in there and he just made it happen like he was a kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
I watch those old videos and the enthusiasm he has talking through the rules. I get really depressed. You can go and watch them on the 4-wheel visual feed. It actually still exists on YouTube. It hasn't been taken down.
That's amazing.
Shockingly enough. I even had some people who worked on them message me, and they're like, oh, thank you so much for digging it up. It was a great pleasure to work on it. Like, thank you for liking it so much. And because I'm just salty like that. And it was just like, oh, wow. And the last thing I want to add to the Heresy is I want to bring in Xenos.
Yeah.
Not because I feel they particularly belong in the Heresy, but I want to do a side version of the game once I've got into a really good place where everyone's like, yep, these rules are working. I want to do a Great Crusade one, and the Great Crusade rules essentially will just say, like, take your Legion stuff, but, the chaosy bits, you're not taking that. You're not taking Galvor back, and you're not taking, Horus Ascended, and, Snake Man Fulgrim's pushing it a bit far.
Yeah.
But, so people have the option of playing Great Crusade, and then that gives people a chance to take out their old armies, and I want to add some of the flavor back to those. Like, I want to give Necrons back their, I want to give them back pariahs, for example, as one of the things. So that's been playing in the back of my mind as well. Like, I want to do a bit of justice to the Xenos players, because there are people who don't like the direction that 40k has gone. Whether or not you like 40k, I'm not judging anyone on that. But there are people out there who played it, don't play it currently. And I want to give them the opportunity to try something different. And if people like my game, awesome. If they don't, I'm fine with that too. It's really just something I'm making for me. And it's free, and I hope I can do some justice to it, and I'm trying my best to put my money where my mouth is.
Nice. And that's it. Absolutely. Talking the talk and walking the walk. That's the biggie. Listening to Maka talk there, and like the passion he had, and the ideas he had, and everything. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass here, Maka. It was actually it was really good. It was really good, and it just kind of, in a funny sort of, I think what just has triggered this thought, my final thoughts, as it were, all that people talking about bringing like Xenos into Heresy, it's made me realize that all GW needed to do for 3.0 to be a massive success was address the issues from 2.0. They didn't need to they could, all the effort that they put into rewriting things, they could have just essentially made a 2.5 edition, and it might have been a bit controversial, but if you want to get 40k players into your game and you want to go on that nostalgia trip, all they probably needed to do was start bringing in with some of these journals as well. You want journals, some fucking Xenos races. What were the Necrons doing? What were the big orcs? Orcs, obviously. Why aren't orcs in Heresy? I do not understand. Like, isn't it like there's I don't know if it's a quote from Heresy or just maybe from one of the books, where it's like, wherever the Imperium has gone in the galaxy, they have encountered the Greenskin. Doesn't matter where
they're the main threat. Yeah.
Yeah, wherever they've gone, they have encountered the Greenskin. No matter what dark, decrepit, isolated corner of the galaxy it is, they turn to a planet and go, this is great, and then there's a bunch of Greenskins like bashing each other with rocks. Like, fuck's sake, these guys again. So all they needed to do to make Heresy 3.0 be great was not fuck with the war gear, actually address, basically do a massive like FAQ, basically do a 2.5, not an FAQ as a separate document, but that's what the main book was, basically a 2.5, and start tickling the idea of Xenos in the game. And I think it would have been a little divisive on the Xenos front, but it would have been big. But what do you guys think about that?
I think if you bring in something like the Interrex, you do something completely new. You do something from the novels. You can have the best of both worlds. Because a lot of guys who love Horus Heresy will look at something like Necrons and go, no. You know, especially Tyranids, they weren't there. So you know, again, this is a historical war game based in a fantasy setting. So, you know, you could, but you shouldn't. You go beyond the scope. But if you look at the novels and you say, okay, we've got the Interrex, we've got the Mega Arachnids. You know,
I think that's what you do.
Yeah, they can take the place of the Tyranids. You have all new things from
duty,
the novels.
sir.
Yeah, you pull from the Horus Heresy, right? Because that's what people are. That's why they're there, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
I think you're right on the money there. You can do the Rangdang. Wait, how do you pronounce that?
the Rangdan. The Rang.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Rangdar.
Yeah.
The Rangdan.
The Rangdar.
Yeah, the Rang something. Yeah,
But you can even do
there's
like a
definitely
whole.
options. Definitely
You can even
options.
do like a whole book, the Rangdan Xenocide book, where it's the Dark Angels getting their shit pushed in by the Rangdan. You know what I mean? You could just do a whole thing.
Oh, how would that be for a? How good would that be?
Yeah.
It's-
Dire
You know
armor.
what you do? Yeah, you could do a Heresy era like Space Hulk, where it's Dark Angels, Cataphracti, Terminators going through a Space Hulk versus Rangdar instead of Gene Stealers.
Man.
Yeah, you just have fun little concepts like that. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the solution
I
is.
think
They could even have done a scouring where it's a mix of 30k and 40k miniatures, and it's just as a fun side system to both, like Kill Team, just to introduce people to a bit of both time periods. See, just throw it at the wall, see what sticks. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. There's a lot of things you could do.
Yeah, I tell you what, North, you've said something, and it's made me have like a eureka moment. You say that Heresy is a historical war game, but in a sci-fi setting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know how do you square the circle of getting Xenos into Heresy? Well, what if it explored different historical points in the Warhammer universe? So 40k is the timeline pushing forward. That's what it is now. But what if you want to go back to the first Damocles Gulf Crusade? A very important historical point. Well, you know what? Here's a fucking Horus Heresy journal for it. You want to do the Battle of Ullanor? Here's a Horus Heresy journal for it. You anything along that line, you could do it, and it would be like, this is where you go to recreate those historical battles. And it's just like, we are four blokes chatting bollocks over Discord for 2 hours, and we've come up with better ideas than Games Workshop has in 3 years.
You could literally do the fall of the Thunder Warriors.
Yeah.
That'd be my thing.
Oh my god.
It'd be the Thunder Warriors on that hill fighting the Emperor.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. That's the shit, man.
How do you? Because people keep asking, because you're never gonna have a game that can satisfy everyone. But you've got these mad bastards in the Heresy community who are like, I want Thunder armor, and you've got the people who understand Heresy a bit better are like, it just wasn't around. It wasn't a thing. How do you satisfy both parties? Okay. Well, here's a Unification War journal. In that is it is the unit entry for Thunder Warriors and Thunder armor. Boom. There you go. That's it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Gentlemen, unfortunately, I have like GW's goodwill, I have run out of time. So I am gonna have to. I'm having to genuinely drag myself away from this conversation because I have absolutely loved it, and I just want to take a moment now to say a massive thank you to all of you guys for. I only thought we were going to be going for an hour. We've gone on for 2 hours. I want to say I've loved it, and thank you so much for taking the time for chatting to me about this. And I think we've had some. I think Macca won't hate. Macca won't like this. I think we've had a lot of salt here today, boys, but I think it's been a good kind of salt. The kind of salt that seasons the meal, that makes it taste better. Not the kind of salt that, like seawater that you can't drink. Productive salt. So yeah, just massive thank you to all of you guys for coming on and taking the time.
No worries, man. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much for having us.
And to all of you guys that watched this video, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Let us know what you think down in the comment section below. Let us know what your thoughts on 3.0 are. Please feel free to agree and disagree. This is, as always, just like our opinions, man. Although I would say it's a scientific fact that Heresy terrain rules are shite. But no, I won't. Right, I'll stop. Let us know what you think down in the comment section. And as always, don't forget to go ahead and like and subscribe. And that's not just to my channel. I said it at the beginning. I'll say it again. Go and check out the links that we're going to have down in the description below. Go and check out these channels of my fellows, my compadres here. Go and give them a watch. Go and give them a like. Macca isn't as salty as you think. Northern Exile, Northern Exile doesn't just do rants. Go and check out these channels. There's 3 links down there. Go and like, go and subscribe, and I guarantee you will find some content that you like. But that's all for now, folks. Thank you for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.